It is now 45 years since the contraceptive pill became available. It is probably the most common abused drug of modern times. The consequences are far more serious than the totalitarianisation of society with the nanny state and the smoking ban. I have observed how the opiate-like effect of female hormones probably lies at the root of maternal warmth. They are a natural sedative enjoyed by all women. But the masculinizing effect of the pill appears to have deprived women of this effect. Alternative sources of sedation have therefore been sought, and stimulation of the erogenous zones is a sedative substitute. There has been an increasing preoccupation with erotic activity, with the pill preventing unwanted pregnancy. But in 1997, I discovered a serious consequence of this. I was exploiting an opportunity to study juvenile delinquents on a local housing estate. I had noticed that those with the wildest reputations, petty theft, arson, criminal damage, mugging old ladies and such like, had unmarried or divorced mothers, suffered maternal neglect, and were very thin, always hungry but with indifferent appetites. They lived on an expensive diet of crisps, snack bars, and the odd takeaway. Since the beginning of time, mothers who take their maternal responsibilities seriously have observed that their children become bad-tempered and irritable when they are hungry. In fact, hunger has effects on the chemistry of the body, and particularly the mind, which are as strong as any drug. This is because the longer the time since the last meal, the harder the body has to work to release stored energy, stored sugar. The substance responsible for this is adrenaline. But as explained in earlier videos, adrenaline not only affects the body, it also affects the mind. It causes anxiety and irritability. That is why people who are hungry become bad-tempered. It was similarly unsurprising, almost expected in fact, that they could not concentrate at school, had tantrums and rages which resulted in exclusions. Little wonder they were thoroughly antisocial. But another effect of adrenaline is to suppress appetite. If people go too long between meals, they become hungry with no appetite. They can only eat snacks or munch, as the boys called it. Within hours, they get caught in a vicious circle of hunger and anxiety, and it is this cycle which has to be broken into if antisocial behaviour is to be prevented. The main attraction of popular drugs of all kinds, including solvents, petrol and lighter gas, is that they soothe the anxiety associated with hunger. Hunger promotes drug abuse. Insecurity and anxiety make people selfish and self-centered, and preoccupation with self is very boring. Joyriding, vandalism and mischief generally are distractions from boredom. The anxiety of hunger comes on top of all the other anxieties of teenage youth. To repeat once more, teenage youth is beset by the anxieties associated with learning to be men, acquiring a skill, getting a job, finding a wife, buying a house, raising a family, and generally making their way in the world. Lack of sleep has a similar effect to lack of food. It too makes people bad-tempered, anxious and irritable, like the come down from a drug. For youths roaming at night, the tranquility of a dark street has a sedative effect like a drug. Young people who stay up late roaming the streets or watching television have difficulty waking up for school in the morning. The result is truancy. Eventually I wrote a short essay on the subject and gave a copy to the headmistress of the local school. I also stated briefly how I had made friends with the boys. I explain in greater detail in the book I'm hoping one day to publish. But she had been groomed by authority about grooming, so immediately assumed I was a paedophile and reported her suspicions to the police. But by so doing, she immediately gave herself away. She was so obsessed by fantasies of sex with boys that she could think of no other possible reason why an old man like me should take an interest in the welfare of youth. I subsequently discovered that a similar problem existed in the police, social services, and their administrative superiors. Society has in fact become overrun by feminist perverts. The situation is so bad that all the old men of my acquaintance refuse to have anything to do with youth, for fear their motives will be misunderstood. Youth is thereby denied the mature masculine leadership and guidance it badly needs. Thankfully, there is a way society might regain its peace and freedom. The black market in drugs is a business, and like all businesses, is bound by the laws of supply and demand. The government blindly seeks to control drugs by limiting the supply. Perhaps reducing demand might prove more successful. To that end, the psychodynamics of the contact high, mentioned in episode 5, might be deployed. The women of the world could wake up from the socialist dream of sexual equality that is undermining their status, and relax into their complementary gender role with its maternal instincts and responsibilities. The sedative opiate-like effect of their hormones would then flood the world with mature maternal warmth and tranquility. They would become the foster mothers of society, passively sedating the insecurity which underlies not only drug dependence, but anxiety and stress generally. The demand for drugs would be dramatically reduced, and the black market hopefully collapse. The ensuing goodwill would make it feel like Christmas every day. The world would become a happier and friendlier place. It would be an awesome demonstration of feminine power. By exerting their influence in this completely natural way, women, the superior gender, would retrieve authority from usurping totalitarians and return it to the people. Men would be free to put their minds to creating a new renaissance within the ecological constraints of our modern urban industrialized habitat.